NASCAR's opening day.
It's race day for the Great American Race.
This is a race with favorites, long shots, dreamers, all drivers.
This is the biggest day of any of the year of NASCAR.
This is the most unpredictable race, one of the biggest races in the world.
This is the Daytona 500. Well, you heard it from many of the greatest voices of the sport. This is NASCAR Cup Series practice on FS1, presented by Toyota. Kyle Busch, after last night's crash in a car that he said could have won the Daytona 500. Eric Almirola still celebrating, isn't he? Hey, Eric. Eric. Hey, Eric, give us a look here. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. So welcome to Daytona on what, as you can see, is a little more of a lighthearted day than qualifying on Wednesday and racing to set the field on Thursday night. Because actually, Clint Boyer, this is the first practice session of this topsy-turvy week.
And you nailed it right there. No practice at all. Qualifying lap, these teams nailed it, knocked it out of the box. If you're a Hendrick Motorsports car, that 48 car and the 5 on the front row, they're happy. Everybody else probably needs a little bit of work to do. This is exactly where that happens. Kyle Busch, you just heard him talk about it, wrecked that car in the duel last night. He needs some practice. Make sure this backup car is ready to go.
So you had a car with speed for qualifying. You had a car that handled pretty well last night in the duel. What are you working on today?
Balance. I want to make sure that this car is handling good. Talked to a lot of the drivers. A lot of them were complaining about being tied up off of turn 4 especially. I think you're going to see some guys working on that balance. They need to be in a draft situation to be able to do that, to get a hold of that push up off the corner and get in those situations. I think you're going to see that quick, and then you'll probably see them kind of feather out and do their own thing.
All right, well, let's get down to the garage. Jamie Little.
Well, Mike, it has been a very busy day for this 8-team RCR, and Kyle Busch, as you mentioned last night, while leading the duel after leading 28 laps hard into the wall, they decided there was too much damage. They had to go to a backup. They took the engine out of that primary, put it in here, had to add the trans axle. They had to make all kinds of setup adjustments, but they made it happen. He is ready to roll for practice, and of course, after what happened last night, this is the only backup for both RCR cars. So they're going to be conservative, go out there, run some laps, make sure they don't have any leaks. So that is the good news. But Kyle was happy last night, Mike. He thought he had a car that could win the Daytona 500.
Absolutely. Yep. Got turned from the front last night.
Yeah, just aggressive driving. Daniel Suarez, you can kind of feel it coming. It's getting down to the end of this duel. Hard hit. You can see the impact inside that car with Kyle Busch. He said on the radio, boys, that was a Daytona 500 winning car. It'd be very interesting if they can deliver him another one.
All right, cars are beginning to sprinkle out from the garage area onto pit road to get ready for this first practice session for the NASCAR Cup Series. They started running time trials at the world's most famous beach, well, long before we were born. Last turn of the century, let's say. And then they raced up and down Daytona Beach and then built this speedway in 1959. And on it is defending Daytona 500 winner Austin Cindric for Team Penske. First car out on track is his Penske Ford Mustang. And Larry McReynolds, our crew chief, has an idea what they're up to.
Yeah, Mike, I talked to crew chief Jeremy Bullins this morning and I asked him, he had a pretty good car last night, ran up front most of the race. What is your agenda for these two practices? He said, I'm not sure about Saturday, but he said, we've got a long list of things we want to try to go back to back to back. They're going to make single car runs the majority of this practice right here. Think about this, guys. 2023, this practice and the one tomorrow, that's the only practice sessions for super speedways this year.
Wow, I had not looked far enough to realize that.
That's
wow.
I don't think you can't put that all on NASCAR's decision. You know those owners were a part of that decision as well. Interesting to say the least, but I just don't. They'll have these cars dialed in. Same principle applies at Talladega. they'll be fine.
So, Larry, is it a matter of keeping miles off the engine or keeping heat cycles off it? Or both?
Well, I think it's miles. But one thing I know some teams did, they went ahead and elected, Mike, since they've already put the 150 mile in the dual race, a lot of these teams went ahead and put fresh valve springs. I know Denny Hamlin, the 11 car, they put fresh valve springs. They're going to make a few laps today, but Denny told me if he's happy with his car today, they will not run that 11 car tomorrow.
A good point. And to expand on that, the teams can no longer change engines between the dual race and Sunday's 500. It's one engine for the entire week.
And Larry, I like that call. I DNF'd this race one time because of an old valve spring broke. Ruined my day, the big dance on the Daytona 500. Man, it was a heartbreaker. So I can understand that. I like what I see here with the Chevrolet camp, all working together, lined up. See Eric Jones there running third. Guns N' Roses on that car. You got to love that paint scheme, Mike.
Absolutely. We're going to have a little fun with that.
That's my
during
favorite.
Sunday's 500.
By the way, my favorite, #1 for the week.
Kyle Larson goes to the top of the board, partly because he is leading this single file train, but also because on that last lap, he caught the sniff of a draft off Bubba Wallace running by himself.
That's really ultimately why that was. It always amazes me. You would think, all right, we got 4, 5, 6, 8 cars in a line. You would always think they're going to push that leader to be the faster one. A lot of times it's one of the last ones in the train that ended up being the fastest lap.
Side now.
Working on, again,
Outside.
like we talked about, balance. Talked to Kyle Larson, asked him what he was working on. He said, man, I was a little bit tired off the floor, didn't like that. Cliff Daniels and boys are going to try to make that a little bit better, and that's how you find out. Put that thing in a pack, make sure that it's not that way for tomorrow or Sunday.
Now, the first car to return to the garage was Zane Smith, who went out on track but did not complete a lap. Pulled back in.
Tight quarter front. All on in front now. All on.
You know, some of the speed versus handling characteristics with these cars is what you see right there inside that car. This thing's still pretty rigid. Riding around with Ross Chastain on board with him, you can see that car's bouncing, you know, still pretty good. That's the ride and the shocks, the spring package, still pretty. You want to keep that car as consistent as you can. That's the airflow underneath the car. That's the grip and the speed as well, the drag. So trying to hold that car as consistent to the gap in between the car and the track as you possibly can. How do you do that? You run it as rigid as you can. Can't go too rigid because that's grip.
Let's check with Josh Sims.
And let's get an update on the 14 of Chase Briscoe. They waited initially and then went out for practice with the team. And if you watched duel number 2 last night, you saw Briscoe had speed, but the problem for him was he was extremely loose when he was running with the pack. At one point last night, he said he felt like he had to pull out of line or else he was going to wreck. So I talked to his crew chief, Jenny Klossmeyer, earlier today, and they said they really need to work on that. So when they go out, they'll see how he runs in the pack during practice and continue to work on that car throughout the night so they're good for Sunday.
Thanks, Josh. Alex Bowman, pole sitter. Jimmy Johnson, 2-time winner, same digits, one the reverse of the other.
That's pretty
side
good
by
to see.
side. Welcome back to Speed Weeks, presented by Advent Health. Speed Week started a couple of weeks ago here at the World Center of Racing with the Rolex 24 Hours and culminates in Sunday's 65th Daytona 500. We have 3 distinct groups of cars on the track right now, and it is no accident. One group of Toyotas. This group are all Chevrolets. So that means there's one other group.
Right there.
And they're all Mustangs.
Yep. And all working together. And it's interesting, you know, watching the duels, watching the 500 back over the last couple of years, there seems to be a number in what the number is of the success on the lap time. And what I mean by that, 5 or 6 cars seem to run faster than 15 cars at times. Seems like you get slack in the chain, if you will, and when you do and you don't keep those links tight, it starts accordion, and as it does that, they can't get the slack out of the chain. 5, 6, 7, 8 cars seem to be able to pull each other faster and more successful than a big change. See that breaking up and stuff like that? That's all lap time. I know they're working around trying to put each other in different scenarios to work on things, the balance like we talked about. But it's interesting watching the Ford guys go out there by themselves where the lap times are, and still this pack of Chevrolets with Larson and Johnson leading, they're the fastest so far.
We're going to want an update on Bubba Wallace because he is a contrary. He kind of went out with the Chevrolets, got away from them, and he is making single car runs, currently rolling out of turn number 2.
Saw him practicing pit road. And makes total sense. I think by the end of this practice, I need to know that. I think a lot of these teams are going to get their practice done today. Probably won't see much of them tomorrow. That being said, I want to charge as hard as I can. I want to know where that line is, know where the limit is coming on a pit road, because I'm going to need that on Sunday.
Yeah, last night, speeding penalties kept at least one car out of the Daytona 500.
Yeah, exactly. One of the open cars, Chandler Smith, took himself out with a speeding penalty. Unfortunate mistake, but we see it. Mistakes are the Achilles heel. That is exactly how you can take yourself out.
Look at the 5 and the 9. They both they didn't pull out in unison. Larson pulled out, and then Elliott pulled out and went with him. I would expect these two to do a lot of tandem racing on Sunday together.
Yeah, and it's interesting, talking about the Hendrick camp, the speed difference. You had the 48 Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson on the front row, massive speed. The 9, 14th, qualifying, didn't have the speed. Talked to him a little bit. They truly are obviously elected to go after some handling for the dual races, wanting to focus on handling so they can win this big race, where the other two still had that thing trimmed out to find the speed. That being said, I think you've seen them kind of merge together. That's what you can do when you're a powerhouse team like Hendrick. Let's find the happy medium and make it good for all. The 9s kind of came to them speed-wise, and I think they've kind of found some handling that the 9 had.
Larry Mack?
Yeah, Mike, I talked to Blake Harris last night, Alex Bowman's crew chief, after their dual race, and I said, what do you think? And he kind of looked at me and said, we tried to convince ourselves before the race it was going to drive okay, but when you beat the field in qualifying by almost 2/10, you know you're probably going to have your hands full. But one thing he did share with me, Mike and Clint, he said it didn't drive as bad as maybe what it appeared. But he said it was not what it needed to be, and we were not going to tear that pole-winning car up just trying to finish in the top 10 in a dual race.
I think it's that latter that you just spoke of more than anything. Whatever you do, do not go out and not start on the pole of the Great American Race. And he didn't. Took care of it. They're out here practicing, going to get that baby dialed in. Should be race ready.
Pay no attention to the fact that Kyle Busch is right up against the back bumper of Daniel Suarez. I know you were thinking it too, right?
Sure looks weird. Rolls reversed. All right, boy, I'm going to take you for a ride. Man, Daniel Suarez is pushing on the back bumper. Kyle Busch really hard, unfortunately, turned him around, couldn't hold on to it anymore. But it's interesting to see. That's how things work. Something happens on the racetrack, always. The next week you'll be riding in the truck together. Here they are on the racetrack, following one another, tail back.
And there's the Ford group.
Yep,
led by
Almirola winning last night. Man, I'm telling you, he's always knocking on the door at this place. Could be his year.
So qualifying is in the books. Look at this string of front row and poles for Hendrick Motorsports. Started in 2015, and it just goes on and on and on. Who was that kid?
That's exactly what I was going to say, man.
Who are both of those kids?
Whoever
Wow.
the old gym teacher is over at Hendrick has made a difference. And them boys, they look like athletes now.
Now, Ricky Stenhouse was not in a Hendrick car, but he did have a Hendrick engine when he won his Daytona pole. Welcome back to NASCAR Cup Practice on FS1, presented by Toyota. Let's have a look at today's Toyota driver profile. And that is Bubba Wallace, who had 10 top 10s last season, most in his career. A win at Kansas. And he's just coming off leading 40 laps.
See that helmet sock right there, they mandated for these guys this year. Full underwear, helmet sock, the whole 9 yards. Another safety enhancement, making sure that everybody's mandated. Everybody has them now.
Jamie?
And Travis Pastrana, the action sports and rally car superstar, he has felt the range of emotions when it comes to Speed Week. Mike, of course, he qualified his way in on Wednesday night, but last night in his duel, got caught up in that wreck with Kyle Busch, had a lot of damage, but they were able to fix this primary car, right rear suspension, diffuser, splitter. They had all kinds of issues, the nose as well, but they feel like they've got it all worked out. Now he's just finding his way in the draft. This is the first time he has ever raced a Cup car, so a lot to learn at a quick time frame here as you watch him.
Well, he had such a quick study. He went up to Volusia Raceway Park, just outside Ormond Beach, early in the week, jumped himself in a dirt track modified. Second night out, wins the feature.
Sure did.
Yeah.
You know, I've raced with Travis on the racetrack on motocross and two wheels from 80 cc's, you know, 7 to 11 class all the way through, and followed his career, known him and his family. There's nothing that kid can't do. I've never seen him get in something and not be able to figure out. Absolutely fearless. We've seen him in the X Games, seen him, you know, build and form Nitro Circus. Now in the Cup Series, still getting the job done. Wild.
Now look at Connor Daly in the 50. Couldn't make a qualifying run. The car was ill prepared. They rolled it out for the qualifying race last night. It was as if the shocks were not compressing at all. He could hardly talk about it on the radio. He came in, Tony Uri Jr. fixed it. Here's a look at it. Look at this thing doing the, that's the hip, that's the hospital hop right there. Yes, it is. He couldn't drive it, but they worked on it. They did not give up. You never give up. And when in the big crash, Travis Pastrana got into the back of Austin Hill, wrecked the right front suspension on Austin Hill's car. Hill was out of the race, and this number 50 will race in the Daytona 500. Jamie?
And another one of those great stories, Connor Daly, he's an IndyCar driver, 9 Indy 500 starts, but it has been his dream to come to Daytona and qualify. He did that, but they have their work cut out for him. Tony Uri Jr., his crew chief, just told me they had to raise the whole car up, and he said they've just been so behind with this car. That was the issue, and they were lucky to make their way in last night. We'll see what they can do with it on Sunday.
Yes, they were. They qualified for the 500 on attrition, and that car right now is a full second and a half off the pace. Larry, it kind of looks like these Fords are they doing a fuel run? Are they what do you think the game plan is here? It's one long run and not a lot of change of position.
Yeah, Mike, you know, and I don't think this has changed. You know, the fuel window is about 38 to 42 laps. If you can get a good 20 to 25 lap run in, that kind of heat soaks everything. I think that's when, if you're going to have a handling issue, I think that's when it will show up. But one thing I see about the Fords, once they got organized and lined up about 6 or 7 in a organized line, straight to the top of the practice sheet they went.
Yeah, I'm watching. The other thing I'm watching here is a lot of teams, these Fords, anybody out there, everybody's practicing coming on the pit road. That's something that I want to perfect. I talked about that earlier. How do you do that? You come off that corner. I was talking to some of these guys. Where's the gauge? These cars have more brakes on them than those old cars. You know, you used to be able to come off of turn 4, I'd say 1,000 and hit the brakes and be ready. Come down as hard as you can down through the gearbox. Some of these guys use the end of the grandstands as a reference point. But that speed and the speed you carry on the pit road, that's how you maximize helping your team be good coming on the pit road.
Now the pit positions for Sunday have already been chosen. They were picked in order of qualifying. So teams are coming to pit road and they are stopping in the pit box that they will use on Sunday. And there's a lot of time to be gained or lost there. About 30 minutes to go in Friday practice for the NASCAR Cup Series.
You know, Daytona puts tears in your eyes.
I can't believe it! Are you kidding me?
This is the Daytona 500, isn't it? You bet. Don't tell me it isn't.
I gotta go talk to the world here, buddy.
I want the Daytona 500!
Driving driving into victory lane and you see your wife, you see your family, your team. Absolutely incredible.
We just won the Daytona 500, baby. How about that?
Can you believe it? There's nothing like it. And there's nothing like Firebird 1. That emblem on the rudder is for the GM Air Transport Service. That was a show car. Harley Earl, the chief stylist at General Motors, was a great friend of Bill France Sr., who led NASCAR. And look at the trophy. A replica of Firebird 1 has appeared on that trophy ever since. That's the biggest single-day prize in all of stock car racing right there.
Yes, it is.
Josh?
Standing by with Ross Chastain now out of the car. You completed 17 laps. So how do you feel about what you're able to do out there?
Well, now that you tell me we made 17, Phil Surgeon told me to make 10, so I guess I overshot my mark. But anytime I can drive around Daytona International Speedway in a Cup car, it's a dream come true, so I'll take the extra laps. But for our Advent Health Chevy, it was a simple keep it clean and work with a couple other Chevys. So it's really cool to work with my teammate Daniel and Austin and now Kyle. It's pretty wild to see him over here on the bow tie side. So just trying to build those relationships, right, and build the best notebook we can for what cars work best around each other. So after he got tore up last night, we didn't want to get tore up again. So kept it a small group, which is about as many friends as I have in general. And I think we're all done, and now we get to go run in the Great American Race.
Thanks, Ross.
So important what he just said. You know, what cars you work the best with. Sometimes that's not exactly a teammate, Mike. It could be, you know, a manufacturer ally. Sometimes you're out of those. You get down to the end of this 500-mile race, attrition becomes a part of it. Surviving the melee, surviving the crashes, the big ones. You get down to the end of this thing, you're going to take whatever advantage you can and make the most of it. Try to keep that cat behind you, and hopefully it's that car that you will work the best with.
Right, your friends are going to be where you find them at the end of this race on Sunday. Got some Travis Pastrana audio to listen to here.
Thank you. This car feels badass, boys. In the draft, felt just stuck to the ground. Super pumped, not tight, not loose. Really, really good. Super stoked. Thank you so much for all the work overnight.
You know, that's just Travis. Always positive. I don't think that guy. I've watched him break all sorts of bones, Evel Knievel level stuff, and no matter what, always got up and is like, you know, golly shucks, and finds a positive in it, and a holy cow moment. Cool to see him on this racetrack of Daytona and starting the Daytona 500. Just shows up, let's try this thing out, and goes out there and gets the job done, and is going to race this race on Sunday. And I'm telling you, I think he can get to the end of this thing using his team's experience, their knowledge, and if he listens to them and builds on his notebook inside that car, he just might get to the end of this thing and be a factor.
Could be. Zane Smith drafting with Michael McDowell, teammates, Front Row Motorsports.
You know, listening to that promo, it is. This place does bring tears to your eyes. You hear a lot of those drivers, are you kidding me? Did that just happen? Because so many things have to be perfect. Not just okay, they have to be perfect. You have to survive. You have to survive all the melees like I'm talking about. Pit road, longevity, the equipment, the attrition in the cars. This place eats everything alive. And then if you get down to the end of that thing and you have that magical push, put yourself in that one sweet spot coming off of that turn 4, it is a can you believe that just happened? And you hear that in all those guys that win this Great American Race's voice.
And even when you get to turn 4 on the last lap, this race can still be won or lost, as it has been so many times for one reason or another. Sometimes a last lap pass goes awry and there's contact and cars spin to the infield. Sometimes a driver will go below the line in the old days, can't do that now, go below the line to break the draft and run over a piece of junk and lose the race on the last lap. You race 499 perfect miles and then you had one job, and it doesn't always go the right way.
And you sit here and trust me, at times the fans are like, man, let's just get to the end of this thing. You're in that car thinking the same thing. I'm ready to get down to the end. We're running around here 450 miles. Let me get to the end of the thing. Yep. And always there's some sort of caution, bunches this thing up, and all hell breaks loose.
Larry Mack.
So, Mike and Clint, there you see the 2022 Craftsman Truck Series champion Zane Smith in that 36 car. Sunday's going to be the 65th running of the Daytona 500. Do you have any idea what's going to happen Sunday for the very first time in the history of the 500?
Actually, I do, Larry. The reigning champion of the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, Ty Gibbs, and the Cup Series, Joey Logano, are all going to run in the Daytona 500. All three champions in the biggest race of the year.
You just flexed on Larry McReynolds. You just flexed on him, Mike.
I had no question Mike George will know the answer.
Hey, and you didn't even give me a chance to flex on you, so you knew I had that. You knew, both of you knew I had that.
Yeah, right. You're still wanting to know what reigning means.
All right, Eric Almirola fastest in this practice session to, I think, no one's surprise. Practice continues for the Cup cars here for another 18 or so minutes. Just coming in, Ty Gibbs, Xfinity Series champion. Battled Noah Gragson for that title all season long, and they both come to the Cup Series as rookies and as fellas that, well, they just don't get along. How are we going to approach this rookie battle?
My advice for the two rookies will be very different.
If there's a problem, fix it. Don't make excuses for it. Just fix it and go forward. And I think that the fans will enjoy both in different ways.
I think the biggest thing is just work hard and try to shorten that learning curve up.
They just say you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn one day. This deal is gonna be hard. These guys are gonna be racing you like all year.
All right, is there a hazing on rookies, whether they like each other or not?
You bet. Absolutely there is. And they take advantage of you, and they'll eat you up. And you have to pick and choose your battles. You have to earn the respect. That's hard to do. You know it's coming, and I like Noah's comment right there. He's right. He's spot on. But you have to be able to earn their respect, and how you do that is hold your own. Don't lose your cool, like Kevin Harvick said. Take care of it, but hold your own ground and take care of business. And if you do that, eventually you win them over, and they won't pick on you anymore. They're going to put you in bad spots. They're going to hang on your door. They're going to do things to take advantage of you on that racetrack. And if you hold your own and hold tough, you're eventually going to win them over, and they'll quit doing it. Or you bite back.
Yes.
But if you bite back, you better be ready to back it up.
All right. Let's check with Jamie.
I like that topic. I was just telling Bubba about what they were saying. Do you have any advice for the rookies coming into Cup for the first time?
Those two, they seem like they know it all already, so I think they'll be all right. Excited to see what they can do this year, honestly. Having Ty up in the Cup Series, I think he learned a lot, filling in for us, so it'll be good. I guess we're done till Sunday.
Well, how about you? You went out. You weren't even with the Toyotas. What were you working on exactly?
That man right there, if you turn that camera around.
That's Booty. That's his crew chief.
He did not want to have any fun today, which I totally get it. We get the fun for on Sunday. Our car is really, really good. Our McDonald's Toyota Camry, they unloaded from the shop with no practice, really fast. Our duel went okay. I made a couple wrong moves and just wasn't on top of my game for the duel, and kind of got us back there in 7th. But no, we don't want to take any unnecessary risks, so I get it. But I asked him if he wanted to lay down a PR lap, because now look at us. Now we're 35th on the board. Keyboard warriors are cracking their fingers, ready to talk all the crap that they want to. But nah, we're good.
I think that smile says all you need to know. They're good.
I would agree. What are these two cars welded together? Every time we see the 48 and the 84, they're side by side.
Yeah, they are. And, again, roles reverse. You hear Bubba. I want to go back to those Toyotas for a second. We really haven't paid them off well. Didn't see much of them in the duels. I'm telling you, those cats, you got a 3-time champion of the Daytona 500, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex. Watch out for Martin Truex. Something tells me it just might be his year. I think the Toyotas are going to show up on game day.
I think you're right. Here's some good news from Fox Sports PR. Ratings for last night's duel at Daytona up 5% over last year, and the highest rated duels since 2020.
Good move.
Thank you, viewers.
Absolutely. It's been a heck of a few weeks to be a part of, be tuned into Fox, starting with the Clash. You know, what a wild event that turned out to be. Super Bowl, unbelievable game. Obviously, we know how that turned out. And then it's Daytona 500. Cannot wait to see these boys put on a show, and a show they will put on.
5 of the Chevys working together in a pack with 14 minutes to go in this practice session, and here are the Fords.
The Fords are definitely the most aggressive cars out there. They can push harder. They can pull right up to bumpers better. They can be more aggressive inside them race cars, but that will get them in trouble. It has. We've seen it last year. We've seen it again already in the duels. Have to be able to get these things to the end. Be aggressive. Put yourself in the right situation. But I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a lot of these guys in the other camp, and they're not going to want these Fords around them for a lot of the big part of this race.
But what I saw last night as we ride with Chase Briscoe was that when the Fords were in front of the draft, they were harder to pass and have a change of lead than if a Chevy was in front of the draft, and the Toyotas did not lead last night.
Yes, sir. You're spot on. I think they have the advantage goes to them because of the ability to have that aggression inside the car. But again, you got to be able to manage that and get this thing to the end. Keselowski last year, that 6 car right there you're looking at. One of the fastest cars on the track, very aggressive, always a great drafter inside that car. But he got himself in trouble on the back bumper of the 47 at Stenhouse. The rest is history. Took himself out.
All right, Artie, I got it. Jimmy Johnson's in the 84 this year. Thanks. As long as they stay just like that. Get behind the wheel of a real race car and experience NASCAR. The NASCAR racing experience. You can drive or you can ride along on some of the nation's premier speedways. Go to this website to learn more.
Saw Lake Lloyd there. Daryl Gwynn had his fishing tournament down there. Awesome. See those guys out. Yep. I haven't heard who won, but
Daryl Gwynn.
Daryl Gwynn always wins.
Ty Gibbs, nicely framed there in that air outlet through the hood of his Toyota.
And now you can see those holes, how big they are. That's the, where you relieve the air that comes in the inside the grill of the car. You see the louvers right there. Some of these things have changed. Those louvers have changed from last year. Big holes in the hood of that.
How do you help a rookie driver? He and Chris Gale talking it over, because he knows everything he knows from coming out of the Xfinity Series and running the Cup car just a little bit, but he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Well, he's had experience in Xfinity, good experience. He runs well. He wins races. That kid knows how to get the job done. How do you do that? You got a 3-time champion of the Daytona 500 as a teammate. If I'm that kid, I'm going to be leaning on that 11 bus over there. Wherever Denny Hamlin's bus is, I'm going to be knocking on that door and getting as much information out of his teammates as I possibly can.
The RFK cars. Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher have been running in very tight formation here. Much closer than what we would expect. We talk about the bubble that you need to have between cars in order to have a nice orderly draft going at maximum speed. One car drifts too far back, they'll slow. What happens when you get one car right up the back bumper of the other?
There's no bubble on that one.
No.
What happens is you approach that car and it blow through that bubble, if you will. It actually drags that car back a little bit, and it'll stall that thing out, and then the chain, the slack in the chain starts accordion, and you saw Joey Logano pull right back up to them. But I think the efficiency, you'll see those two cars, if they get together, they'll drive away from the two cars behind them. You see Buescher pushing on his teammate Brad Keselowski, driving away from him, and as he has to get off of him in the corner, they'll pull right back up on him.
All right, Almirola right there with Logano. What does Joey Logano think of all this?
Half in front, quarter in front, tight, push it on in front, half behind, half by 2. Yeah, they're good at that.
And they were fast in the duels. They were fast last year. I remember vividly I was bummed out for Brad Keselowski. He went to the Clash and didn't have the showing that he was looking for. Comes to Daytona and was bad fast with both cars. I see it again. I think these guys, if they can get them to the end, they've got a shot. RFK is going to be strong in this Daytona 500.
All right, Jamie.
Well, it's been a busy day for the 8 team for Kyle Busch after last night's performance, of course, going to a backup. The good news is your guys got it ready for you to go out and practice. So was she as good as last night's car, the primary?
Yeah, it was good. It drove good, drove the same as last night, had really a lot of the same tendencies. So hard to tell the speed, obviously, with just being out there with 3 other cars. And you want to be in a bigger pack, but you also don't want to tear up any more stuff. So I think we got what we needed to learn out of that. I also learned another valuable thing, which a lot of these teams that are out here are all really, really good. You know, I've been dependent on JGR forever and redoing cars and fixing cars and whatever, and getting back out there and being really consistent and the same. And sure enough, the eight guys did the same thing. You know what I mean? So really impressive on that front. That just shows you how tough this garage area is. But real proud of the 3 Chi guys. Can't thank them enough, and proud that it feels good, and we'll go get them on Sunday.
All right, don't count out Kyle Busch.
No way. That's an optimistic, positive interview that you sometimes don't hear out of that kid. I still think he's got liking what he's seeing in that car. It's amazing that they can get a backup car and get that thing out there and have that same feel.
Back to signing autographs. 6 minutes to go in Friday practice for the NASCAR Cup Series. Well, here is who has put up the PR laps in this practice session, as Bubba Wallace mentioned a while ago. And 7-time champion Jimmie Johnson, running a partial schedule for the Legacy Motor Club, is at the top of the board. Then Hendrick Motorsports' Chase Elliott, JTG Doherty's Ricky Stenhouse, and Hendrick's Alex Bowman. 4 Chevrolets leading 9 Fords on the practice list, and the top Toyota way back in 17th, Martin Truex. Jimmie Johnson had such success at this racetrack. Well, where didn't he have success? But 2 wins came in the Daytona 500.
That's the way you want to win them. Everybody in the rearview mirror was way back. Breathing good there. Oh, Chad Canals, don't you think he didn't have something to do with that? Cagey behind, a cagey veteran behind that old wrench on that car. The guy got away from some craftsmanship. Jimmy put her in victory lane.
New team, same agenda. Jimmie Johnson will start in the last row of the Daytona 500. Hopes to finish up right where he is right now. Now, you talked about cars coming onto pit road.
Yeah, 2 teammates, Bowman and Chase Elliott, Keselowski. You saw how hard they were charging in. Those teammates working together, rolling down pit road together. You see Keselowski peel off to his box. Here comes the 9. Slide into your box. Clear 3 in, 3 out. You know the rule there. Be interesting. Always a lot of interference, carrying a lot of speed. Pit road is a safe speed, but let me tell you, it's pretty fast here. It feels fast when you're rolling into your box. If you don't get some temperature in the brakes, man, you can lock that wheel up and slide right through your box. Happens every year.
2 minutes to go in this practice, and 3 drivers have not been on track. The 2 Kaulig cars, A.J. Allmendinger and Justin Haley, and Riley Herbst, Rick Ware Ford, have not practiced. Otherwise, 37 cars have been on track.
A lot of different opinions, a lot of different agendas. Obviously, the Kaulig cars elected to stay out here, happy with their cars. That's a shot. That was a big shot for practice.
Larry told us earlier, a shot like that can pick you up 2 to 3 miles an hour.
Well, look how far he got him away from him. That just shows you the capability. When we talked about the Fords, how aggressive they can be. He reached out and got a hold of Harris and took him for a ride.
Look at the closing rate here on Harrison Burton in the 21.
Boom. Thank you. And you heard Larry say that picking up 3 mile an hour. From me being inside that car, Mike, that doesn't tell me anything. The coolest thing is the old pitch of the hot rod. That thing will be like, bah, you hear it right there, and as soon as he hits you, bah, you know, and you hear it. You hear a different, different tune. She's singing.
Yep.
That's always a good feeling, especially when you start picking them up and mowing them down with that run. Momentum, baby. It's key.
8 big trumpets playing Johnny One Note.
Gano, he's got it done before. Always a very good drafter, very aggressive, knows how to put that thing in the right position. He's got good teammates around him as well.
Chase Elliott, hometown raised crew chief Alan Gustafson. Talk it over. They are second fastest in this practice as the red and black flags come out in Daytona. Sunday, the 65th Great American Race. Pre-race at 1 p.m. on Fox, and the Daytona 500 Sunday 2:30 Eastern. Only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. From the world's most famous beach. Yes, this is a blimp.
What's his mile an hour? What's his lap time
the
here?
Goodyear blimp is with us. All right, fastest in practice. Jimmy Johnson with Jamie Little.
Mike, it's like a throwback. Jimmy Johnson on top of the board at the end of the day. The number's just a little bit different. Jimmy, I know it's just practice, but what could you take away from that car during that practice and those laps?
A lot. I mean, it's my first weekend in this car, Todd's first weekend working on a next-gen car. First time we've all worked together. So we're going through quality reps right now. I must add that I have a new spot or two that I'm trying to learn. So there are a lot of aspects to this that are new, but very proud of everybody at Legacy Motor Club and all the efforts they put into this. 42 car, 43 car, ECR engines. Carvana coming with me from IndyCar over here. We've been saying no finish lines for a long time. We mean that. And today is reasons for that. I mean, it's just so fun to get out there and mix it up. And it was in a great draft with Chase and understanding kind of the bump drafting aspect of where this car is, and got some quality reps there too.
I think a lot of fans are excited to see you and see what you can do on Sunday.
Sure. Last time he was fastest in a Cup practice was 3 years ago. Cup Series practice tomorrow, then Xfinity qualifying and the race and the Beef It's What for Dinner 300. That's tomorrow. Across the Fox networks. It's all on FS1. Coming up, Truck Series race day, and then the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series has their debut, and there's the lineup for Sunday on Fox. Stay tuned to go high-speed trucking at Daytona.